The neon blue dot on my screen was mocking me. It pulsed with a steady, rhythmic thrum right in the dead center of the Danvers State Asylum. I stood at the rusted perimeter fence, the engine of my beat-up Civic still pinging as it cooled down. I shouldn't have been here. Normal people, when they lose $1,000 iPhone, they file an insurance claim and move on. They don't drive 2 hours into the Massachusetts woods at 11 at night because the Find My app suddenly pinged a location that had even seen a living soul since the late 80s. But it wasn't just the phone. It was the photos, the voice, memos. My entire life was on that glass slab. And for some reason, the GPS said it was sitting in the one place where things go to be forgotten. I hopped the fence, the chain link screaming into the silence of the forest. The main building loomed over me like a rotting carcass, its gothic spires clawing at the moonless sky. "Okay, Assad, don't be a coward," I whispered to myself. "Get in, get the phone, get out." I checked my backup tablet. The blue dot hadn't budged. It was in the basement. Of course it was. The air inside the asylum was different. It was heavy tasting of damp plaster and something metallic like old blood or rusted surgical tools. My flashlight beam cut through the dark, hitting peeling wallpaper that hung off the walls like dead skin. I stepped over a shattered gurney, the wheels long gone, the frame twisted into a skeletal wreck. Every floorboard I stepped on sounded like a gunshot in the stagnant air. Creak, pop, snap. I followed the map down a flight of concrete stairs that felt like they were descending into the gut of a monster. The basement was a labyrinth of low ceilings and heavy iron doors. This was where the difficult patients used to go, the ones the state wanted to hide. The tablet buzzed in my hand, 0.1 miles away, then 50 feet. I turned a corner into a long hallway lined with solitary confinement cells. The doors were thick oak with tiny, rectangular viewing slots at eye level. Most were kicked in, but one, at the very end, was shut tight. The blue dot was sitting right on top of it. I reached for the handle. It was ice cold, the kind of cold that bites through your skin and settles in your marrow. I pulled. The hinges shrieked, a high-pitched wail that echoed down the halls like a woman screaming. The room was empty. No, not empty. In the center of the room, sitting perfectly upright on a concrete slab that served as a bed, was my phone. The screen was lit up. It was bright, blindingly bright in the pitch-black room. I walked toward it, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. Primera picked it up. The glass was warm. Unnaturally warm. I swiped the screen to unlock it, but it didn't go to my home screen. It was already in the camera app. The front-facing camera was active. I looked at the screen, expecting to see my own face, pale and sweaty in the flashlight's glare. But I wasn't there. The screen showed the room I was standing in, but in the video, the room was full. There were people's shadows, really pressed against the walls. They were tall, impossibly thin, with limbs that bent at the wrong angles. Their faces were smooth, featureless masks of gray skin, and they were all looking at the camera. They were looking at me. He spun around, swinging my flashlight wildly. The room was empty. Dust motes danced in the beam. Nothing else. I looked back at the phone. On this screen, one of the things was inches away from my shoulder. It reached out a long, spindly finger and touched the back of my neck. I felt a spark of static electricity, a sharp, cold sting right at the base of my skull. I dropped the phone. It clattered on the concrete, the screen cracking but staying lit. I didn't stay to pick it up. I bolted. I didn't care about the stairs. I didn't care about the gurneys. I ran through the dark, my breath coming in ragged, shallow gasps. I could hear them behind me, not footsteps, a soft, wet sliding sound, like a heavy coat being dragged over a puddle. I hit the main lobby, the moonlight through the shattered windows looking like a sanctuary. I dove through the front doors, scrambled over the fence, and didn't stop until I was behind the wheel of my car. I fumbled with the keys, my hands shaking so hard I dropped them twice. Finally, the engine roared to life. I threw it into reverse, gravel spraying everywhere, and tore down the dirt road. I didn't look back until I hit the main highway. Under the glow of the streetlights, I reached for my tablet on the passenger seat to turn off the tracking. I needed to see that the signal was gone, that it was over. I opened the app. The blue dot wasn't at the asylum anymore. It was mobbing. It was moving fast. It was exactly 2 inches behind my car icon. A notification popped up at the top of the tablet screen. A text message. From my own number, you forgot your photos. Then, the car's Bluetooth snapped on. A voice memo began to play. It wasn't my voice. It was a chorus of wet, distorted whispers. 1,000 voices speaking in a language that sounded like cracking bone. I looked in my rearview mirror. The back seat was empty, but when I looked at the backup camera display on my dashboard, the screen showed 3 of those gray, faceless things sitting in the back, their long fingers resting on the headrest right behind my ears. I slammed on the brakes, the car skidding sideways across the asphalt. I jumped out, screaming, and ran into the tree line, not looking back at the car or the tablet. I spent the rest of the night shivering in a ditch, waiting for the sun. When the police found my car the next morning, it was parked perfectly on the shoulder of the road. The doors were locked. My phone was sitting on the dashboard. The screen was shattered, but it was still on. When the officer picked it up to identify me, he said the gallery was open. There were hundreds of new photos. All of them were of me. Photos of me sleeping in my apartment for the last 3 weeks. Photos of me at the grocery store. Photos of me standing at the asylum fence. And the last one, a photo taken from the back seat of my car, looking at the back of my head as I drove, with a long, gray hand reaching out to touch my neck. I don't use a phone anymore. I don't go out after dark, because every time I look into a dark window or a shiny surface, I don't see my reflection. I see them. They're still waiting. They're still tracking. Subscribe to The Silent Fear for more horror stories.